What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love During Lockup, Season 4, Episode 49. 49, Are You His Auntie? And this was the season finale for Love During Lockup. And what a finale it was. If for nothing else, for Asante and Ranika's story, y'all, I was so shocked at the end of their segment when they put up the notes of I guess, what happened after they were done filming. I was so shocked, but let's get into it. So Asante and Ranika. Asante tells Ranika that his auntie is going to be sending Ranika the money for his bail. But Ranika ended up putting, I think, a portion of her own money as well, even though she had not planned on using her money to bail him out. I guess he couldn't come up with the whole amount himself, and Ranika really wanted her man out of jail, and so she had to go into her daughter's college fund to take about $1,000 or $1,100 out to meet the bond requirement. So I was very disappointed in her for having to go into her child's money to bail him out. But the heart wants what the heart wants, and she wanted her man out of jail ASAP, and she was willing to do anything to get him out of jail. So she calls the auntie because I guess I'm not sure exactly how she would have gotten the number, unless the number shows up when you're transferring money through Apple Pay or whatever it was. It had to have been through Apple Pay, and maybe the number came up. I don't know how any of that works because I don't give money to anybody and I don't receive money from anybody. Okay, so she calls the number and they talk about Asante coming out. The auntie says something about how she wasn't sure if she needed to start cooking because they really weren't not sure on when Asante was going to come out or if he was going to come out, etc. So they're having small talk about his release. And then at the end of the conversation Ranika asked, "Are you really his auntie?" And the person on the phone says, "No, I'm his girlfriend." And Ranika says, "No, I'm talking about Asante." And the girl says, "Yes, yeah, Asante." And then she gives his government name, whatever it was, Lacitrus or something like that. And the person says, "Yes, I know who you're talking about. That's my boyfriend. I'm his girlfriend." And so Ranika, of course, is upset, but she's overwhelmed by the excitement of having her man released that she says she's not going to worry about that right now. She's going to handle that later. And she didn't want that to ruin the moment. And plus, she kind of explains it away by saying it's probably some older woman that Asante has been using for money and getting money from for years. So she's not really threatened by that. But she will dig into a little bit deeper later on. But for now, she wants to just glow in the happiness of her man being released and doesn't want nothing to spoil the moment. So Asante comes out and they're happy to see each other. She's so excited to see him. He's trying to play it cool, but I guess he was also really excited to see her. They hug, they kiss, she cries. So it was a really sweet moment, despite about the issues, the problems, and the red flags. If you ignore all of that, it was a really cute moment to see them unite like this, because this is the first time that they're seeing each other actually in person. And Asante kind of tells us a little bit of history of his criminal background. He said the first time that he went to jail, he was 18 years old. He didn't come out until he was 25. So he was released for a few years, a couple of years he was out, and then he went back in and served another 4 years. So if my math is right, and y'all need to double check me, it seems like he's been behind bars for a total of about 11 years. A total of 11 years he's been behind bar. And he tells us that he wants to spend the rest of his life with Ranika. He makes it seem like he really wants to try to make this work with Ranika. And so at the end of their segment, they put up the notes on the bottom of the screen, the little blurbs to tell us, what happened after the filming was done. And so at first it said that their journey was going to continue on Love After Lockup. And I know that they showed after Love During Lockup, they showed a first look of Love After Lockup, which I didn't want to see because I want to see the full episode when it actually premieres. So it tells us that their journey is going to continue on Love After Lockup. And then the next blurb said, it had a picture of Asante And then on the bottom, it had his birth date and his death date. And it said, rest in peace. He was born 1990. He passed away 2023. Y'all, when I saw that, I'm a very sensitive person when it comes to things like this, even though I don't know these people. These people are just on television. When I see stuff like this, it really hits me hard. It hits me so hard because I'm watching these shows and I'm kind of getting invested and I'm getting all wrapped up in their story. And, I come here to talk about it. So it's like I'm even more invested. And so when I see stuff like that, especially because I had no clue, and I think he passed away about a week ago, and I think filming had wrapped for Love During Lockup. No, sorry, for Love After Lockup. I think filming had wrapped, and so we may be able to see their whole entire segment, or their whole entire journey, on Love After Lockup. But y'all, it hit me so hard when I saw that he passed away. It hit me so hard, especially, so he got in trouble with the law. He got in trouble and, he served time in jail and all this and that. Other than that, he was like a regular guy. There was nothing really wrong with him. He wasn't like, this horrible human being. And so it really broke my heart to see that he had passed away. So of course I have to get my phone and start looking to Googling, trying to figure out exactly how did he pass away. And supposedly he was walking down the street and a car hit him. And that was it. In an instant, he was gone. I saw on Instagram a video creator for Love After Lockup and for 90 Day Fiance. She was giving an update because she said that she had just spoken to Asante because she was trying to schedule an interview with him. She had also just spoken to Ranika after he passed away. She said that Ranika was extremely distraught. Obviously, she was just, completely out of control with grief. And I'm just like, wow, she was so happy to see him. And it's just so sad. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch Love After Lockup, knowing, how it ended for Asante and Ranika. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch their segment, y'all. It's just too much. Well, rest in peace to Asante. Like I said, he ran into some trouble. He made a few mistakes in his life, but he didn't seem like a really horrible guy. He seemed like a guy who was just, out here living his life, doing his thing, trying to make better decisions. And rest in peace to Asante. That hit hard. That hit really hard. I don't know why, y'all, but I'm just really sensitive about these things. Moving on to Brittany and K-Rock. So Brittany confronts K-Rock about EB stalking her. She called it stalking. So they're doing their video call and she tells him that, look, I don't know why you got your boy stalking me. I don't like it. We need to start trusting each other. K-Rock says that EB is only doing this for good intentions. And I'm like, following someone without them knowing that they're being followed and watched? Good intentions on whose part? So Brittany says that they need to start trusting each other a little bit more. And she says that she wants to know why would Carla, because, she uses Carla for information on K-Rock and K-Rock uses EB for information on Brittany. So she wanted to know, why would Carla lie about you getting into a fight? Did you ever ask her why she would lie to me about that if it didn't happen? And K-Rock says, I don't have any time to ask anybody why they lied about something. Sir, you have nothing but time. You have nothing but time. And if your girlfriend wants to know why someone would lie to her about you getting into a fight, you have all the time in the world to find that out and set her mind at ease. Brittany says that she's no longer going to ask Carla about any inside intelligence or inside information on K-Rock. And I think she was expecting K-Rock to say, okay, well, I'm not going to ask EB to follow you anymore. But that's not what K-Rock said. K-Rock said that he will still be utilizing EB's services because EB are his eyes on the outside. So that's not going to stop. So Brittany, if he ain't going to stop, then I don't think you should stop. Because the thing is that even though, K-Rock is transgendered, they still, I guess the law or the state that he's in, they still classify him as, a female because they have him housed in a female prison. And so he's attracted to females. And so he's surrounded by females who are willing to do anything for a little bit of his time and attention. And so Brittany really has to worry about that because it's not like she's with a heterosexual man who's in a prison with other men, even though some might say you still got to worry about that too. But, the fact that he is around women that he could possibly be attracted to and can have, relationships with, Brittany is she should really be worried. And if I was her, I would not stop utilizing Carla or anybody else who can give me information on my man in prison. But she says she's going to stop using Carla. She's going to trust K-Rock, and she's expecting K-Rock to trust her. And K-Rock is like, not so fast. I'm going to still be using EB for whatever I need to use EB for. After that, we see Brittany at the fertility clinic. So she's speaking with a fertility specialist because her and K-Rock want to have children. And the plan was that they were going to use K-Rock's eggs, a donor's sperm, and Brittany was going to carry the baby. So in essence, she was carrying K-Rock's child. So she explains to the doctor, and by the way, K-Rock is a part of this consultation on the phone. So she explains to the doctor what their intentions are. And so once the doctor finds out that K-Rock is transgendered and has been taking hormones and testosterone, the doctor tells K-Rock, well, in order for us to harvest your eggs, you're going to have to stop taking testosterone because you need to start stimulating the hormones that will help you produce a lot of eggs. And so this means that your breast tissue is going to grow, your voice might change and become more feminine. So all these changes are going to be happening to you while we put you on the hormones or the medications to help stimulate your body to start producing eggs. And K-Rock was like, hell no. Y'all will not. That will not be happening. He says, I cannot go back to that lifestyle. There's absolutely no way that I can go back to that. And so Brittany asked a question about K-Rock's breast tissues and says something about, she asked the doctor, well, because K-Rock has little to no breast tissue at all, even when they start the hormone treatments to start stimulating all the female hormones in K-Rock, does that mean that, because she doesn't have a lot of breast tissue, does that mean that maybe the breast really won't grow that big? And K-Rock was like, bump all that. I don't give a damn about none of that. No, absolutely not. I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to revert my body back to being what it used to be, whether the boobs are going to be big, small, medium, or whatever. I'm not doing it. So Brittany is like, well, how am I supposed to carry your baby? And so K-Rock is like, well, we can always adopt. And Brittany starts crying because she wants to carry a biological child. And so she only has one fallopian tube. And so she thinks that maybe it won't be easy for her, for them to get eggs from her because she has one fallopian tube. But I don't think your fallopian tube really has anything to do with the eggs that you can produce. I mean, I'm not a doctor, fertility specialist, but I don't think that really goes into women can get pregnant with one fallopian tube. So I'm pretty sure that if K-Rock was in agreement that they could harvest eggs from Brittany and, use a sperm donor and she can still carry her own biological child. But she's really hell bent on carrying K-Rock's child. So I guess so they can have this illusion that K-Rock got her pregnant or something. I don't know. So she's crying and K-Rock doesn't understand why she's crying because K-Rock says whether the children are biologically mine, yours, or adopted, they're still going to be my children. So the goal is for us is to have a family. It doesn't really matter how we come about to being parents. We just really want a family. And Brittany says she's going to need time to think about it. She doesn't know because she says adoption should be the very last option, and K-Rock didn't understand why it had to be the very last option. So we'll see where that goes. The end of their segment was that their story will definitely continue on Love After Lockup, and that they still have plans to have a family and to have children. So I'll be interested in watching that story. Moving on to Savannah and Jake. So Savannah is on her way to see Jake on her regular visits, I guess, and she has on her wedding gown and she has on her veil and she's planning on getting married. So she says that she can convince him to get married because she's going to spin that story about how getting married will help his commutation. But we all know she wants to get married because she wants to get married. Not so much for the commutation, but just the fact that she just really wants to put this ball and chain on Jake so that he can be hers. And when he comes out of prison, he's already committed to her. That's my personal opinion of why she wants to get married so bad. It's not so much for the commutation, but it's for her own selfish reasons. So when she gets to the prison grounds, though, she ends up taking off her veil, I guess, because she knew. This girl knew. Savannah knew. Savannah, I don't know why, Savannah, you're doing all this dramatics with the wedding gown and the veil and all this and that. Girl, you knew, you know the what's up, that there's no way he was going to say yes. So the next time that we see Savannah, she's coming out of the prison, or she's already out of the prison, and she's driving down the road. She throws her bouquet of flowers out the window because she says, I won't be needing that or any of this, referring to her wedding attire. So when she got to the prison, she had the documents for the marriage certificate already signed by her. The only thing that needed to happen was he needed to sign it. And he was like, I'm not signing this. And he tells her the reason why he's not going to be signing the marriage certificate or getting married to her. He claims it's because he doesn't want to get married in prison. This is not how he wants to start his life with Brittany or start his marriage, by getting married in some dirty, dingy prison. And he says also, I don't have the opportunity right now to take care of you. That's another reason why he doesn't want to get married. To me, it's just all a lot of BS. If she falls for it, that's fine. I'm here to watch. So she thinks about it or whatever, and as she's driving back home, she says, you know what, maybe he's right, about the whole getting married in a prison thing. Maybe he has a point about that. So I get it, I understand, I'm willing to wait until he comes out. She says that she's going to concentrate right now on his commutation. Now, my whole thing is, I hope that Savannah doesn't put in all this work and energy on the commutation. He ends up coming out, and then he ends up breaking up with her and being with someone else. Because if you really wanted to be with someone, it doesn't matter where you get married or how you get married. You just want to commit your life to that person, and you want to be, made as one. It doesn't matter. None of that matters about getting married in prison and all. It's all a bunch of BS. And I know that Savannah, deep down in her heart, does not believe that, but she's going to convince herself that that's what it is. Girl, I don't know if we're going to see you on Love After Lockup or not, but at some point in the future, if we ever hear about your story, I pray to God that we don't hear about you helping him with this commutation and then him breaking up with you and going off with somebody else. Because if I was Savannah, I wouldn't even bother. If you don't want to marry me, if you don't have enough love for me to marry me, and I want to marry you, but you don't want to marry me, then I'm hands off on the commutation. You can have your family that doesn't like me. You can have your family deal with your commutation, and I'm gonna meet you up. I'll meet up with you on the outside. That's what I would do if I was Savannah, because this man is going to end up embarrassing the hell out of her. And she's going to be known as that girl who put in all of her time, energy, and money on this man's commutation, and he ended up leaving her as soon as he got out. Moving on to Andy and Brittany. So Andy, when we see him, he's with his 17-year-old son. They're packing up because Brittany is about to be released in about a day or so. And so they're on their way to go pick up Gracie, and then they're going to go get Brittany from prison, I think the following day. So when we see them, they're packing up their bags, getting ready to go. And Andy is stuffing $500 cash inside of a teddy bear that he's going to be giving to Brittany. And he tells his son that this is 500 is out of the 1,200 that I've been saving for her. And so the son was like, well, where's my money? I want some money too. And Andy says, well, get a job and you'll have it. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you want your 17-year-old son to work hard for his money, but this person who can't seem to remain on the right side of the law, you're working overtime, double time, triple time to save money for her, who's probably clearly using you, whose children, or at least her daughter, doesn't even like you. You're going through all of this, putting money away for her, but then you want your 17-year-old son to go work for his money. That's fine. You want him to be responsible, blah, blah, blah. But how much is in their college fund? Your 3 children, or at least your 17-year-old. How much have you saved up in his college fund? Moving on. So the son asks, is it a good idea to give her $500 in cold hard cash, knowing that she's an addict? And Andy says, well, she's not an addict anymore. She's been clean for 2 years, so she doesn't have that problem anymore. Now, is she clean, or is she clean because she's in prison? And then once she's released and the stresses of outside life get to her, is she still going to remain clean? So is she clean, or is she clean because right now she's incarcerated? So The son asked him, how much have you given her in total? He said, I've given her $6,000. How much is in your son's college fund? If you've given this woman $6,000 behind bars, how much have you been putting away for your son's college fund, or for whatever the hell he wants to do after he graduates from high school? So the son calls his sister Destiny and tells his sister, Dad's been giving Brittany a whole bunch of money. And basically his kids are like, Dad is probably being used. And the son asks his sister Destiny, do you think they're going to get married? And at first Destiny says, no, I don't think so. But then she says, well, if they do, it's not going to last. So the children are of the consensus that Andy is being used by Brittany. And I totally believe that. That's like, to me, I'm like 100% sure that he is being used by Brittany. I just don't know why he doesn't see it. And he's a cop. You would think that cops are able to sniff out the BS in people real quickly, because they deal with it so much. But honey, anywho. So Andy and Barry are on their way, Barry being his son, they're on their way to Brittany's release. And they first stop by the hotel where they meet up with Gracie. And, Gracie was a little bit more cordial this time, but you could tell she was still kind of like, a little bit more, she was still reserved a little bit, but she was a little bit nicer. And she did say that she was happy to see that Andy was putting in the effort to make her mother's release nice, because he brought flowers and balloons. And of course, he's going to give her cold hard cash. So then they're going to go ahead and spend the night at the hotel. Then the next day, all three of them are going to go get Brittany. And their little blurb at the end just stated that we will definitely see their story on Love After Lockup. And we know how that story is going to end, most likely. Jade and Chris. So when we see Jade, she's at the beach. She's talking to Chris on the phone. And she basically gives them an ultimatum. Either you're going to draw up some paperwork that we're going to sign to make sure that I'm protected in case we get a divorce, or in case you pass away, to make sure that I'm getting something out of this relationship. And she's talking about, money, property, assets, etc., because she doesn't want to be left out in the cold if this relationship doesn't work out. So he was kind of like, are you serious? Even though everything is in my name, it still belongs to us. The house, the cars, whatever else, the bank accounts, it's all under my name, but it's still ours. And she's like, well, that's nice, but I need it on paper. I need it notarized and signed, sealed, delivered. So he's like, or what? And she's like, or this is over. I'm going to get a divorce. I don't want to be with you if I can't be reassured that I'm going to be looked after and protected if anything happens. Because of the conversation that they had before, where he said, well, everything is mine, everything is under my name, plus his family thinking that she's nothing but a gold digger. So he tells her, okay, fine, I'll go ahead and I'll sign whatever you want me to sign, because I don't want to lose you. And then their little blurb said that she is still living in the house that Chris has bought, and that she's still waiting to be added to the deed to the house, and his release date is 2024. It didn't say that we're going to follow their journey on Love After Lockup. So this is probably the end of Jade and Chris, which is fine with me, because their story really wasn't that interesting. Moving on to Leticia and Keith. So Leticia confronts Keith's aunt about her being a tattletale, and running to Keith, telling Keith how much she had spent on the ring, the fact that she had gone $5,000 over budget, and the fact that she still hadn't told Keith about it until the aunt brought it up. So she confronts Keith's aunt about that, and she's like, why would you go tell him about, my business and what I'm doing, because it's got nothing to do with you? And she says, well, I'll look after his finances, and I see what's going on in the account, and he put me in charge of all of that. So yes, I did tell him, and I'm supposed to tell him. And so Leticia tells the aunt, well, me and Keith, we're married, and so we don't need a third party looking into anything. So she tells her cousin that she plans on getting the aunt removed from the accounts, and we'll just see how that works out. So she wants the aunt removed from their account so she can go ahead and spend his money freely and not worry about somebody watching over her back or watching over her shoulder. In their little blurb, it says that Leticia did keep the ring, and that she removed Keith from her tax business, and that his release date is 2025. And also with them, I'm not sure if we're going to see on Love After Lockup. But anyways, y'all, my mind is not where it's supposed to be, because I'm still a little bit bothered by Asante passing away. It's a very, very sad situation. But we really didn't get to see Asante fully, because the first time that we saw him outside of prison, it was, during these last couple of episodes. And we're going to see more of him on Love After Lockup, which means that it's going to be even tougher for me to deal with. But I'll be fine. I'll get through it. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel, Conversations with Cookie, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.